This lesson is over how to divide decimals, part 1. So how do you know? Let's look at our number routine. How do you know? How do you know that 54 whole times 3 and 1300 is equal to this, while 54 times 3 and 1300 is also equal to this? As you can tell, these are equivalent. In this example, what they did is they line up the decimal point of 54 and 00 hundredths, and they multiply it by 3 and 1300. So, in this example, how many digits are behind the decimal point? 4 digits. Notice how they jumped the decimal point by 4 places. Tenths, 100,000, 10,000s. Using mathematics the way I prefer, hundreds times a hundreds is 10,000th place, and that is in the 10,000th place. While this one is just multiplying a ones place by a hundreds place, that's why the answer is a hundreds place. Here, instead of lining up the decimal, they probably most likely is they multiply 3 and 1300 times 54. And they just multiply as though this is just whole number. And in their product, they jump the decimal 2 digits, 2 places over to the hundreds place. Ishi, let's look at our do now. Ishi makes $8.50 an hour rolling sushi at a restaurant. His paycheck shows that he worked 6.5 or 6 5/10 hour over the past 2 days. How much did Ishi make before taxes? So he makes $8.50 every hour. So many ways you can do this. We know he makes $8.50 the first hour, $8.50 the next hour, $8.50, $8.50, $8.50, $8.50, and then half of that, it'd be $4.25, and you'll have an answer. Or maybe you prefer multiply, because repeated addition is just multiplying. So some of you may prefer lining up the decimal as such. So we have to fix a placeholder here, 0. Others of you may look at this and say, I don't care about, I have no desire, or I don't care about lining up the decimal. So you just write it as you see it as whole number and you multiply. You will get the same answer. Note, in the product here, you will have to jump it 4 places because there are 4 digits behind the decimal point. While here, if you try this one, you will only have to jump it 3 places into the thousandths place. I want you to look at this one first. Let's start with the 5s. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 5 is 25. Carry the 2. 5 times 8 is 40 plus 2 is 42. Don't forget your place. So we're done with the ones place. So I'll put a placeholder here. Now working on the tens place. 6 times 0 is 0. 6 times 5 is 30. Carry the 3. 6 times 8 is 48 plus 3 is 51. If I add these 2 rows of number, I will get 0, 5, 2, 5, 5, and we will have, there are 3 places behind the decimal point, so it's $55.25. Do not say $55 and 250 hundredths, because in money wise we stop at the hundredths place. Don't forget, let me label it with my units. So notice this is how I prefer. Hundredths place times tenth place is thousandths place. Notice how 250 thousandths. Alright, so now we're going to focus on dividing decimals. Shade an area. Let's take out my trusty highlighter. They want me to shade an area that represents 90 cents. So in other words, shade 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents. Can I just shade in everything but the last row? Next one, next one, next one, next one, and next one. So that's 90 hundredths. If 90 cents is shared evenly among 6 people, use the grid to determine how much money each person will receive. Let's get my trusty, I'll use red. So I need to break this down into 6 groups. So I could say this goes to group 1, this goes to group 2, this goes to 3, 4, 5, 6, and keep breaking it down that way. I'm going to use some mathematics. So I have 90 cents. I'm dividing it into 6 groups. How many groups of 6s go into 9? 1 group. 9 minus 6 is 3. Bring down to 0. How many groups of 6 go into 30? 5 groups. So I have my answer of 15 cents. So 90 cents divided by 6 is equal to 15 cents. Let's see if that's correct. This is one group of 15. So the first person gets 15 cents. The second person gets 15 cents. The third person gets 15 cents. The fourth person gets 15 cents. The fifth person gets 15 cents. And last but not least, the last person or sixth person gets 15 cents. So 90 cents divided by 6 is 15 cents. Shade an area that represents 21 cents. Let's take out a different highlighter. So dot, dot. If 21 cents is shared evenly among 7 people, use the grid to determine how much money each person will receive. So let's think. I have 21 cents. I divide it among 7 groups. I think I could do that in my head. Can 3 go into 2? No. 0 times. Make sure you note that. Bring down the 1. How many groups of 3 go in 21? 7. So each person will get the rich amount of 7 cents. 7 cents and 7 cents. So 21 cents is equally... Oh, I'm going to redo that again. I did not read it correctly. I am embarrassed by that. It said 21 cents is shared evenly among 7 people. So if I had 21 cents and I had to share it evenly among 3 people, the answer would be 7 cents. So taking from that, using fact families, I think the answer will be 3. How many? So I have 21 cents. I'm dividing among 7 groups. Can 7 go into 2? No. 0 times. Bring down this. How many groups of 7 go into 21? 3. So each person will get 3 hundredths or 3 cents. Think about it. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. 7 people. Now, shade in the area that is 6/10. So I shade in 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, and 6/10. So it says how many groups of 2/10 go into 6/10. I see one group of 2/10. I see a second group of 2/10, and I see a third group of 2/10. So 3 groups. 3 groups of 2/10 go into 6/10. So taking what we just learned, we are going to learn how to divide. If you really understand how to turn a fraction into a decimal, then you pretty much already know how to divide. For example, if you have a numerator and denominator, you'll get the quotient. The dividend divided by divisor equal quotient. For example, 12 divided by 2. Can I rewrite it in fraction form as 12 divided by 2? And what is 12 divided by 2? 6. So let's look at this one. We have 6/10 divided by 2/10. So we have 6/10 divided by 2/10. I'm writing it in fraction form. I don't know about you, but I personally do not like working with decimals. I rather divide with whole numbers. So do you see this 2/10? Do you see the divisor here? I want to turn it to a whole number of 2. In elementary school, you learn something called the power of 10. What place value is the 2 in? The 10th place. So if I multiply 2/10 times 10, it's just 2. So 6/10 times 10 is 6. And what is 6 divided by 2? 3. Voila, look at the picture form. see how you got it. So what I did is I rewrote the division problem in fraction form, and I tried to turn this divisor into a whole number by multiplying the power of 10. And this is the tens place, so I'll multiply by 10. There is a shortcut for those who prefer shortcut. To turn this to a whole number, I move the decimal 1 over. Hence, I need to move this decimal 1 over. Because whatever I do downstairs, I must do upstairs, as some elementary teachers use. So let's look at our first question. Maria has $1.80 and she wants to buy gum that costs 3 cents each. That is not bad a price. How many pieces of gum can she buy? So she's starting off with a balance of $1.80. She wants to figure out how many groups of 300s or 3 cents go into $1.80. So in other words, this is a division problem. She wants to break it down into groups of 300s. So I wrote it as a division problem. Now I'm going to write it as in fraction form. I don't know about you, but I personally do not like working with decimals. So I need to turn this divisor into a whole number of 3. So what do I need to, what power of 10 do I need to multiply 300 by to get 3? Well, since this is in the hundreds place, I am going to multiply it by 100. So I'm going to multiply 1 and 80 by 100. So I get 180. Some kids, eventually, as they keep doing this over and over, say, can I just move this decimal 2 over and move this decimal 2 over and get 180 over 3? I guess. But mathematically, why are we doing that? Because we're multiplying by 100. So we have 180, and we're breaking it into 3 groups. How many 3's go in 1? 0 times. That's supposed to be 8 if you can't read it. How many groups at 3 go in 18? 6 groups. Bring down the 0. How many groups of 3 go in 0? 0. So that's where you get the answer of 60. There are 60 groups of 3 cents. 60 times 300 will equal exactly 180. Susie has 2 7/10 meter ribbon. She is making some bows, and each bow takes 9/10 meters of ribbon. How many bows can she make? So she wants to break what she has into groups of 900s. So 2 7/10 divided by 9/10. So sorry, she wants to break it into tenths, into groups of 9/10. So if I write this in fraction form, 2 7/10 divided by 9/10. I don't know about you, but I'd rather work with whole number of 9. So look at the divisor, turn it to a whole number. What multiple or power of 10 do you multiply 9/10 by to get 9? Well, since it's in the tens place, I multiply by 10. So what is 2 7/10 times 10? 27. Some kids will say, can I just move the decimal 1 over and 1 over? I guess. But mathematically, it's because we're multiplying by tens. So 27 divided by 9 is 3. So just take a word. 9/10 plus 9/10 plus 9/10 adds up to 2 7/10. So 3 bows she can make. Number 3, Mr. Joe purchased a piece of cheddar that is 3 2/10 meters long. He intends to cut the cheddar into 8/10 meter lengths. So I'm going to cut them into little chunky groups. How many pieces will he have after cutting the cheese? So I'm going to cut the cheddar cheese. So I'm going to cut the cheese. So how many do I have left? So 3 2/10. I'm going to write it in fraction form. How can I rewrite this so the divisor is a whole number of 8? I multiply by the power of 10, because 8/10 times 10 is 8, and 3 2/10 times 10 is 32. Some kids just prefer move the decimal 1 over, move the decimal 1 over. That's where you get 32/8. So what is 32 divided by 8? It is 4. I can make 4 chunks of cheese of 8/10 meters. So 8/10 plus 8/10 plus 8/10 plus 8/10 adds up to 3 2/10. And that's the answer. And last but not least, Mr. Alvaro has 2 and 7 pounds of chocolate. He is filling little baggies, filling 0.5 pounds bags. So how to give away? How many bags can you fill? So each bag you put 0.5, 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. We could keep on adding until we eventually reach 2 and 7,500. But you know what? I'm going to divide this and divide 2 and 7/10 by 5/10. Can I rewrite the divisor of 5/10 to a whole number? Yes, by multiplying by 5. So that's 5. But I multiply with the power, what place value? Tens. 10. So what is 2 and 7,500 times 10? 27 and 5/10. But before you figure out, but there's a decimal. It's okay to have a decimal in the numerator. You learned it since elementary school. So I'm going to write this down. 2 and 7,500 is broken down into 5 groups. Can 5 go into 2? No. So I'll bring down the 7. How many 5? Oh, don't forget this one. How many 5 groups of 5 go in 27? 5 groups. So 27 minus 5 is 27 minus 5 is 2. Bring down the other 5. This one right here. How many groups of 5 go in 25? 5 times. So the answer is 55. Wait. Oh. Let's go back here. What do you see in this fractional form? 27 and 5/10 broken down into 5 groups. I put a decimal in the wrong spot. So it should go right here, 27.5, line it up. That's why I try to be neat using these squares to make it neater than I. So how many bags can you fill? You can fill 5.5 bags of chocolate. If you put 0.5 pounds in each bag, they can do up to 5.5 bags. So in the study of dividing decimal, rewrite it as a fraction. Then turn this divisor, the denominator here, back into a whole number. To turn it a whole number, some kids multiply by power of 10. Other kids just move the decimal. Here they move the decimal. If it's 0.5, they move it 1 over. They move this 1 over.